Donald Trump, the defendant, had a day off from his criminal trial in Manhattan on Thursday. So, Donald Trump, the candidate, held a rally just a few miles away in the Bronx. It's a deep blue county within New York City, and the Bronx neighborhood that Trump chose is among the most diverse and also most impoverished in New York. This, it should be noted, is not typical. Most of the Trump rallies are held in majority white areas. But this event this week was pitched as an appeal to working class minority voters. And in a move that, to many, betrays Donald Trump's cynicism and disdain for that very group of voters, Trump invited two rappers to join him on stage. These two rappers happen to be charged with violent felonies in a felony gang case, but to be fair, for Trump, hanging out with felons isn't a rarity at all. Let's talk Roger Stone, Allen Weisselberg, Michael Flynn, Steve Bannon, and yes, even at one point, Michael Cohen. One could argue that for Trump, it's kind of his thing. But the crowd at the rally was otherwise a far cry from his usual. It was very diverse. It was black, it was white, it was Latino, it was Orthodox Jewish voters. Hundreds of people showed up and showed out. They were decked in MAGA gear. But let me be super clear. Of course, it is your choice. You can perfectly align with conservative values generally if that's what you want to do, or the GOP if that's your jam. You might agree with conservative ideology about economic policy or on social values. But I do have a warning for all of the brown and black folks who are thinking about joining up with this current openly racist iteration of the Republican Party. And once again, I'm drawing from Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. This is just a different, poorly remixed flavor of the same kind of pick-me tactic that has already duped white women and poor white folks who vote for Donald Trump in huge numbers. Let's look at white women, for instance, the majority of whom voted for Trump even as he openly takes credit for stripping away their legal right to their own bodies. And Trump sold the working class white folks the lie that he'd protect their jobs and lower their taxes. But the signature policy of his presidency was a massive tax cut for who? Spoiler alert, it won't them. Not the working class and not poor folks. It was reserved for corporations and the richest of Americans. So here is my message to black and brown folks. Look, you may not think that Aviator Joe is the wave, and I respect that. But thinking that Trump is prioritizing your interests is a trap. We've seen this movie before, and we know how it is. From Senator Scott all the way down to Diamond and Silk. The black and brown folks who cozy up to Donald Trump do not end up with the favor that they are seeking. They end up on the losing end of nearly every policy decision that he makes. Congratulations, you played yourself. Joining me now is MSNBC host of The Weekend and former RNC chair, Mr. Michael Steele himself, and Rita Shah, Republican political strategist and founder of Relax Strategies. Michael,
Hey.
Thank you for sticking around. You're doing double duty today on a holiday weekend. You're the Iron Man around here. I want to talk to you about this rally in the Bronx. So Trump brings out these rappers who happen to be under current indictment for a violent felony. He pointed to rapper Chef G's grill, saying he wanted to get one. He has suggested that black voters are going to identify with his experience of being unfairly treated by the criminal justice system. There is always some level of pandering that we will see because it's election season. It's not going to surprise me if at some point we see on the Democratic side Joe Biden trot out some of his hip hop friends to try and use that among the demographic. But how do you square what we're seeing from the right, given the history and the rhetoric that we've heard from Donald Trump previously, and this new move to try and sort of dupe the working class minority voter into thinking he's for them?
Well, I don't think that there's a serious effort here. I think Donald Trump, largely, as we were talking about on our show a little bit ago, did that rally in the Bronx because he's on trial in the Bronx. The courthouse is not that far away. So he wasn't going back to Florida when he knew he had to be back there the next day. So, there's that. But there's a cynicism here that I think it's important to point out. That there are no real solutions being offered to the Bronx community, the black and brown community of the Bronx, or anywhere else in this country, because there is no real appreciation of what those communities are going through. When you disregard our educational system, where you can't teach certain things about our history because it offends some white folks, then you're not serious. So you can trot out a pair of LeMay sneakers and you can say you're going to protect my right to smoke menthol cigarettes. Thank you, Donald Trump. Or you can show up in my neighborhood and bring some rappers who themselves are being charged for 140 counts of felonious actions and think you're connecting to our community by standing up on stage talking about you want to get a grill. You're just not serious. It's just not believable. But what happens, and this is where it becomes important, is how the media conveys this narrative. Please stop treating like this, that something actually happened here, because it didn't. This was just performance art by a man who's on trial for criminal activities, hanging out and bringing before the community other criminals and saying, y'all can relate to this, right? No, we don't.